Welcome to 70 System, I'm the DMG. Thank you for joining me, and in this video we're going to be talking about what are good gateway role-playing games. So rather than me just list a whole bunch of different games, I'm going to list some criteria for good gateway games, and hopefully you, as the audience who are experienced in various different games, in the section below will actually lay out which ones you think are the ones that fit these sort of criteria, and those who are novice and just starting out, check out in the description below what other people have to say. First, and most importantly, when it comes to picking a good gateway game, is how easy are the rules to learn. They need to be something that can be explained in a few minutes or during the game without hindering the progress of the game, making it grind to a halt. So you don't have to spend the entire game explaining rules to people. And you want it to be easy, sort of quick up front, 15 minutes, this is what you'll need to do, and then just a crash course as you're actually playing. It needs to have simple mechanics that don't require you to put too much thought into it. So you're not having to apply too many mathematical formulas and what does this mean, what does this mean, what does this mean. The mechanics mustn't get in the way of learning. That's not to say that some games that are mechanics heavy and more simulationist and have tons and tons of rules, that's not to say they're bad. It's just very difficult to teach newcomers to a genre of games how to play those. The game needs space to grow, so this means additional materials that you can acquire to improve your knowledge of the game. So does the game have more materials available to grow into? I personally find that it's good to start with a game that uses miniatures. This obviously may be a sticking point for some people depending on what game they're saying you should try out. But that's only if the game is combat oriented. It's much easier to say this is where your guy is and this is where the monster is, or this is where the object is, etc. And so they can get a 3D representation of space, because you don't want to get bogged down in trying to explain location and things in a game that people are trying to learn. But don't rush out and buy minis. So this is where the board game we talked about in one of the early videos, where we talked about getting a board game first and then finding a role-playing game that's in a similar genre. That board game is going to have lots of little bits and pieces, so they might have some minis in it, it might have some tokens, all these kind of things, and dice that you can use in the game. So that's part of the rationale behind starting with a board game, is that you're starting to use some of the components of that in this game. Also consider that you can use kids' toys like little green army men or Lego or anything to that extent instead of miniatures, so you don't have to rush out and buy all the stuff that's official. You can even think of paper minis. You can check out my website in the store where some of the monsters come with, well, all of the monsters come with paper minis. Then, is there an online community or a support base for this game on the internet? So not everyone is going to have a gaming store nearby with an expert in that particular game who's going to be able to explain rules to you where you don't know. Obviously, your best resource is going to be the internet, and does the company who put out that game, does it have a lot of resources on the internet to answer any questions, or is there a large online community that will support that? Because as you learn the game, you're going to need to have some of your questions answered, so you're going to need to rely on that resource. So there are obviously older and some more obscure games that are actually very, very good games, but they lack this component, and so it makes it very difficult to get your questions answered, to find out more about things that you may be having a problem with. And finally, something that doesn't require a large amount of investment. So you don't want to be going and shelling out hundreds and hundreds of dollars and then finding out in the very first game that you don't like it. So is it something where there's a free test play or cheap, $20 beginner box or $30 beginning box or something like that, free downloads, or where you can get cheap modules for it or something like that, so you're not investing in the game before you start playing it. That comes later, trust me. So thank you to all the people watching here that are already veterans of the game, and we would love to hear from you. And by we, I mean the community of new gamers who will be interested in what sort of games should they be looking for. Have a chat with them down in the comments section. Thank you for joining me. Like button if you like this video, and if you'd like to see future videos, please subscribe to this channel, and if you'd like to support these videos, please check out patreon.com/7dsystem. I'm also on social media, Facebook and Twitter /7dsystem, and I also have a website as well, 7dsystem.com. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.